Interesting facts about skunks. There are 12 species of skunks in the world, which vary greatly in size, but are more or less similar in color, which they always have in black and white. They are also united by their main property, which brought them worldwide fame, the ability to produce an inexpressibly terrible smell, from which it turns inside out both all other animals and people. Skunks are very clean, they always keep their home clean and carefully clean their hair from dirt. By themselves, they do not smell of anything, the fetid liquid they produce serves for self-defense. Skunks are carnivorous mammals. Skunks are easily recognizable by their characteristic coloration consisting of white stripes or spots on a black background. A distinctive feature is the odorous anal glands, which secrete a caustic substance with a persistent unpleasant odor. Skunks are able to spray a stream of secretion at a distance of 1 to 6 meters. They live almost exclusively in the New World. Skunks have a good sense of smell and hearing, but poor eyesight. They do not distinguish between objects located at a distance of more than 3 meters. Skunks can spray their stinky liquid up to 3 meters away. A skunk cannot bite and smell at the same time. Skunks have a fairly strong immunity to snake venom. When in danger, the striped skunk, Mephitis, first takes a threatening posture, warningly with its tail up, turns back to the enemy, arches its back and begins to knock on the ground with its front paws. If this does not help, then he releases a stream of oily, fetid liquid from his anal glands located to the right and left of the anus. Both jets merge into one, and are sprayed with fine rain at a distance of up to 4 meters. People who are shot by a skunk indoors most of the time begin to vomit. The amount of stinky secret in a skunk is strictly limited and is usually enough for 4 to 5 shots. Skunk puppies at the age of 8 days can already spray the enemy with a caustic liquid, and at 24 days, when their eyes open, they will be able to shoot aimingly. A frightened skunk, suddenly confronted by its opponent, stands up on its hind legs and takes a few steps forward, then drops to all fours and whistles. Typically, a striped skunk burrow consists of several chambers and entrances. By autumn, the striped skunk accumulates a solid layer of fat and from November to March fits into the winter sleep. If it gets into the eyes, the skunk liquid causes temporary blindness. Removing skunk odor from clothing is very difficult, but ammonia, gasoline, and tomato juice are very effective at removing skunk odor after just one wash. But water and soap are almost powerless. The skunk damages apiaries by scraping the hives at night until disturbed bees fly out of them. Chilled with cold, they fall to the ground, and the skunk eats them. On the neck of the Mexican skunk grow long hair that sticks out in the form of a ruff, which is why it is also called the hooded skunk. The generic name of the Mexican skunk, Mephitis macroura, mephit in Latin means nasty aroma, and the specific name, macroura, comes from the Greek words macra, big, and aura, tail. Having obtained a bird's egg, the Mexican skunk does not break the shell with its teeth, but throws it on a hard surface until it breaks. The smallest skunks in adult form weigh only about 1 kilogram, and the largest, about 4 to 5 kilograms, that is, they are comparable in size to ordinary domestic cats. They are all omnivorous predators, and, like badgers and honey badgers, they eat everything that comes their way: insects, rodents, berries, edible roots. Some of their species also climb trees well, which they use to destroy bird nests. All skunks live only in South and North America, with the exception of the stink badger genus. Striped skunks can have 3 or more stripes and range in color from solid black to stark white. Despite the name, these animals that live in Indonesia and the Philippines are also skunks. It's just that earlier they were classified as badgers, and after the classification was revised, the name was not changed. Skunks are distinguished by non-aggressive behavior, they do not quarrel with each other, and they simply prefer to avoid encounters with large animals that may be dangerous for them. Only males fight among themselves, and only during the breeding season. And then their fights almost never lead to injury or death. Living in areas where there is a cold winter, skunks begin to accumulate fat reserves in the fall. At the same time, they, unlike the same badgers, do not fall into hibernation. After the onset of cold weather, they simply sit in burrows and do not go outside at all for months, while reducing their activity to a minimum. Among these animals, infant mortality is very high. They usually die from half to 3/4 of all young, partly due to attacks by other predators, partly due to various diseases. In the wild, skunks rarely live longer than 3 to 4 years, although in captivity, with good care, they can live up to 10 years. Skunks are often preyed upon by birds of prey like falcons and eagles. Ground predators, avoiding their chemical weapons, rarely attack them, but birds take advantage of the fact that they can attack quickly and suddenly, falling on an unsuspecting animal from the sky. The main chemical element that is part of the odorous secretion secreted by the glands of skunks is ethyl mercaptan. This is generally the strongest smelling natural chemical compound known to scientists. For a person to feel it, it will be enough to have a concentration of 0.0000000000002 grams dissolved in the air in front of his nose. Once in the United States, several skunks that made their way into the territory of a textile factory caused almost $1 million in damage to the owners. Frightened by the unusual environment, the animals began to emit their fetid aromas, and it is impossible to wash clothes from them. The smell is never completely removed. A bunch of finished products had to be disposed of, and the animals were caught by employees of a special service, which then released them back into the wild. Pig-nosed skunks are usually brown and white in color. They have a well-developed snout, which allows them to dig out insects and spiders from dry soil. Pig-nosed skunks are more mobile than other species. They regularly climb rocky slopes and enter caves filled with bats, their favorite treat. They are most active at dusk and dawn, sleeping in nests or burrows during the day. Skunks spend most of their time hunting for prey. Most animals, be it mountain lions, cubs or young coyotes, will never risk contact with a skunk once sprayed, and their distinctive coloring allows victims to remember and avoid skunks in the future. The only creature that regularly preys on them is the great horned owl. For some reason, the smell and burning sensations do not scare her away. Skunks are solitary animals. They make regular rounds of their territory, which is usually about 2.5 square meters. km? A single skunk can have up to 10 burrows distributed throughout its range. He uses his most secret and well-protected lair in winter. Skunks do not hibernate, but in places where temperatures drop below freezing in winter, they go into torpor, light sleep with a reduced metabolism and slightly lower body temperature. The breeding season starts in mid-February and ends in mid-April. A male and female may have multiple partners over several days or weeks. If a female becomes pregnant early in the season, the development of fertilized eggs may be halted for several weeks. Delayed implantation, lasting up to 19 days, ensures that young will emerge during the warmer months when there is more food. The gestation period lasts from 59 to 77 days. The female gives birth to 2 to 8 cubs. Newborn skunks are naked and blind, although a striped pattern is already visible on their skin. They are able to disperse at about 3 to 4 weeks, just at the time when their eyes open. The female will begin to leave the den when the cubs are 6 weeks old. They follow her in single file and tend to maintain bodily contact with each other. The babies make a lot of squeaking and gurgling sounds to maintain communication, and it may appear that one large furry animal is moving. Young animals begin to hunt on their own after about 2 months. Young skunks reach sexual maturity at about 10 months of age.